very special video. Today is all about the samples and the yarn, which is sitting right next to me, for our upcoming, or maybe when you're watching this, already available issue 10 anniversary issue. Yay! I'm so happy with it, and I hope you will be too. Issue 10, 5 years since we started publishing Making Stories magazine. Can you believe it? I can't. It's just gone by like this. It's just flown by. This is it. This is the anniversary issue. Issue number 10. The theme for issue 10 is Heirloom. And I'm just going to read a little bit about the inspiration behind it. Because Heirloom is one of the topics that just felt so right for this particular issue, given that, you know, it's issue number 10. And what we're all about here at Making Stories is knitting things that we love and will wear for years and years and years to come. And if we don't like them anymore, if they don't really, you know, fit the way that we want them to fit anymore, then we can pass them on and we can mend them, and, you know, that's what we're about. And so creating heirloom pieces was the designer brief for this particular issue. And I am so in love with all of these samples, and I hope you will be too. Issue 10 is available on making-stories.com. If you are watching this before September 5th, which is the official release date, you can pre-order it. And if you want to, you can also subscribe to it, which means that you get an annual 2 issues, like our both of our issues. And I am really extremely happy with this. This is the second issue that we've printed with our new printer, Königsdruck Berlin, on a new paper, which is still a 100% recycled paper, but it's just so much better in terms of the photography. It's so sharp, and it just shows up everything so wonderfully clearly. So I am very much in love with this. What I'm also very much in love with are the photos. Yeah, that's me. And that's not because we didn't have budget for a model. Let me just put that out front. Like, we usually work with models. We obviously pay them. The reason that I am modeling issue 10 with, you might have guessed it, my wonderful mother Ingrid, is because when Melinda, our photographer, who's been with us since the beginning, and she's amazing, and I had the briefing call for issue 10, Melinda was like, well, let's put heirloom into the pictures. And the most sort of, I think the most precious and also maybe the most formative heirlooms are probably non-tangible ones, but the ones that, you know, were instilled in us by the people who raised us. In my case, my mother, Ingrid, and my father, Wolfgang. And I loved the idea of reflecting that non-tangible part of heirloom in the photography through showing 2 different generations, one who's been formed by the other. I like to think also a little bit the other way around. At least that's how I perceive being a mom. But hey, you know, I don't know. I've not asked my mom about this. Maybe I should. So that's the reason why there's me and my mother on in these pages. And it felt a little strange at first seeing me in print, but I just love the pictures. And I love also how, you know, that's also one of the things that we love doing, is showcasing the pieces the way that we would wear them in everyday life, and also on bodies. I mean, my body looks like my body, right? Like, I want to see knitwear on bodies that look like my body, and my body has gone through pregnancy and postpartum and is not the shape that I was at like 18, and that's perfectly fine. My mom's in her 60s and her body, has lived a long life already, and that's amazing and something to be celebrated. And so, yeah, I'm extra happy that we get to showcase these facets also in these photos. Okay, without further ado, let me just quickly check whether I am actually recording, which in fact I am. I do tend to get paranoid a little bit about this. Let's dive right in. I have my whole sample tower here, let's call it like that. If you are following along and you are a subscriber and you perchance have your copy already, I am going through them top to bottom, is front to back in the magazine. So yeah. We will have yarns for 2 of these patterns that will be available on the official release date, which is September 5th in really limited quantities. And when I get to the respective samples, I'll tell you all about them. Okay, let's get started with the first sample. My question is, and I'm taking bets on this, is this gonna fall down before I'm done with the video? I hope not. Okay, so the first pattern that I want to talk about is the wonderful, absolutely magnificent Ursula Rap by Susanna Kaartinen. Look at it. Isn't it beautiful? So this is a really, really wonderful, squishy, long. I'm not gonna model all of the sweaters, for example, but I thought for this one I could do that. So this is a really wonderful, long, rectangular wrap that you can wear as a super cozy, oversized scarf like this. I love it so much. It's super warm. Or you can wear it over your shoulders if you're cold, a little bit like a blanket. So cozy. And it has the most gorgeous cable pattern on this combination of stockinette and garter stitch, paired with some bobbles, and I love how it flows so seamlessly into the ribbing. It's super, super nice. It's so well done. It also doesn't roll anywhere at the edges. And I just really, really love it. I think it's obviously goes without saying, it's a great heirloom piece because all of them are. But I think this is really something that is super versatile in your wardrobe, and I'm just picturing this already in my wardrobe. I would, wear it to a playground, date, whatever, in winter, or like going sledding or something. And then Oren gets cold and I can bundle him up in it. I think it's perfect. It is designed for, let me just quickly show you a couple more pictures of my mom wearing it. It's designed for a worsted weight yarn. The sample is in Hudson and West Coast Forge. Hudson and West is a yarn company that is based in the US and makes only US sourced yarns. And they have some fantastic, fantastic yarns. We do carry them. Problem is, although they are extremely, they're just really, really good yarns, they're also really expensive once you have shipped them over here to Germany. And I think that is maybe one of the reasons why it's not selling as well. So while we do carry the yarn, we have a couple of quantities, I think, left in in the quantity that you need for Ursula, but not a lot. So you might want to check out Hudson and West directly if you want to work this in the original yarn. It's gorgeous. I love it. Okay, so that was the Ursula Rap. The next pattern is a lovely, delightful sock pattern named Dancing Sunlight. by Barbara von Stieglitz, a designer based here in Germany. And she got inspired by traditional Bavarian clothing. I don't know if you have like a picture in your mind of how traditional Bavarian festive clothing looks like. But one part of the clothing, both for men and for women, has traditionally been stockings, or like knee-high socks in cabled patterns, or, you know, like intricate patterns, usually knit up in an undyed cream wool. And that's what inspired Barbara's dancing sunlight socks. So she modernized this idea for a mid-calf length sock, and introduced like little twisted cables and a tiny bit of lace, and made them modern, and I think really wearable, and also really potato chippy. So, you know, I adore sock knitting. And my favorite type of pattern is the one that is almost as soothing as stockinette, but potato chippy enough so that potato chippy, in my knitting language, I should explain this, means you just want to knit one more row, one more row, one more row. Usually those are pattern repeats, or like maybe 4 or 8 rows or rounds, and pretty intuitive so that you can quickly memorize them. And this is exactly that. So I just love them. I also love the idea of having a contrasting toe and then a little, you know, contrast line in the cuff. I think this is really pretty. You could obviously play around with all sorts of mini skeins that you have, or you can just also make them in one color. The yarn that we used for this is one of my all-time favorite natural sock yarns, Garthenor Organic Snowdonia sock, which I believe is not very readily available at the moment. So we've been sold out of it for quite some time. Do check with Garthenor directly if they still have some in stock. I hear there might be something some coming in the future. But yeah, I would recommend a yarn that doesn't have more halo than this. Because you want to have a pretty good stitch definition for the little cables to show up. So yeah, Dancing Sunlight by Barbara von Stieglitz in Garthenor Organic Snowdonia sock. Next up is a super exciting pattern that's basically my dream of like just cuddling up in during colder winter nights. This is Connected by Julia Exner, and it's a really wonderful take on cabled sweaters. The idea behind Connected is to, reflect the theme in the cables and the connections that we make through heirlooms, but also to create a sweater that, as per its shape, can be worn by different body sizes and body types. So it's generously oversized. You can, of course, knit it with less positive ease, but it's designed so that, you know, I can wear it and David can wear it, and well, I mean, on our end it's going to be a dress, but that's also fine, right? Like, lots of people with different shapes can wear the same sweater, which I really, really like, because it just means, you know, it's one of those sweaters that you can pass around when you're sitting, out on the balcony or in the park or in a skiing hut and someone is cold and you're like, hey, take this sweater, right? Or you can just pass it on if you don't want to wear it anymore. It has these gorgeous cables running down the front and the sides and then the sleeves. The back is soothing stockinette. I also really like, dropping the sweater here. I also really like the deep rib and the deep cuffs. I think they're really lovely. And the neckline. The neckline is like super, super nice. Unlike anything else that I've seen here. And I think it's super... it's really lovely, innovative take on how you could work a neckline. Let me quickly show you a picture of it, how as it's worn, so that you can see it. This is how it looks like. I also just really adore that shoulder detail, how the cable is running up the shoulder at the back. Yeah, so beautiful. It's a drop shoulder sweater, and Julia worked with two wonderful yarns held together for this. They're both by Nature's Luxury, which is a German yarn brand. The first one is Homey Svelte, which is an almost, I would say, sport weight woolen spun yarn. So something that's really light. So despite this being a heavily cabled pullover, it's actually not that heavy. And Julia held that double with their Silk Divine, I think. I always want to say Divine Silk, but I think it is Silk Divine. I was right. Yep, Silk Divine, to create a lovely little halo, which I adore. You could certainly also knit this without additional fluff. The cables would show up a little bit more pronounced, but I just really like the coziness that the two yarns held together create. One of the things that I have not mentioned yet, and if you're new to making stories, you're probably wondering about that, is our sizing. So we do 10 sizes for our garments. They are ranging from a 78 centimeter nude, so body bust circumference, up to 150 centimeters. So a pretty broad range. And one of the things that's really important for us when we work with our designers is to help them and work with them on really good grading, especially also for the larger sizes. Because it's not just a numbers game, as it very much has to do with fit. And we're testing all of the sizes and pay particular attention to that. We also test the larger sizes, which, truth be told, is sometimes not super easy to find testers for larger sizes. So we always pay extra attention to that so that we can check that the fit of sweaters like connected also works well across our whole size range. Socks, like the Dancing Sunlight socks that I've just shown, they're sized up to 5 different sizes. So, yep. Next up is a sweater that just makes me just so super happy every time that I look at it. Just because, I don't know, maybe it's the colors, maybe it's, I don't know. I think it's like a happiness inducing sweater. This is Tweed Dale by Jennifer Brou. Look at it. I mean, come on. Like, how can you not be happy when you look at a sweater like this? So this is a drop down. It's not a drop down menu. It's a drop shoulder sweater in color work. So the way that you work these blocks is through stranded color work, but you only ever work 2 colors at a time. So there's no no 3 colors. And when you're done, you can, if you like, embroider down the front here. I love the inspiration behind this piece because this was inspired by a collection of Jennifer's, and she collects tea towels. Let me just read a little bit about that to you. The inspiration for this sweater comes from a collection of vintage heirloom tea towels, each lovingly embellished with geometric huck embroidery. I am interested in the tea towel's linear design elements and color combinations, but I'm also struck by the concept of lavishing so much detail on such mundane and utilitarian items. And I love that. I've long been of the opinion to burn the good candles, to take out, the good cutlery, to use the linen napkins and the embroidered tea towels. And I think this is also a really lovely reminder that, our knitwear might feel precious because we've put a lot of time and energy and also money in it. And I know for myself that sometimes means that I don't wear my sweaters or t-shirts as much as I could, just because I think they're too precious. And I think that should just get worn, you know, no matter whether that's like out on the playground or for a lunch date or something. Just wear the things. You deserve to wear them. They're not going to get better in your wardrobe, that's for sure. So, yeah. So, this is Tweed Dale. And Jennifer worked with a fantastic yarn that, I mean, you've heard me talk about her before. Emily Lim of Woolette Palette is one of the most knowledgeable natural dyers that I know, and she's so meticulous in her work. She uses mostly foraged and homegrown plants. The odd extract is thrown in as well for consistency reasons, and she only dyes on, so she's based on the US, she only dyes on US based or US sourced and spun yarns. This is her Merino Rambouillet Sport Weight, which is really lovely, squishy, and has wonderful stitch definition. Just look at that. I think this is a true work of art, Tweed Dale. Very, very happy to have this in the collection. Let me quickly show you how it looks like worn. So this is on my lovely mom. Yeah, there you can see. I think it looks so good on her. Like when she put it on, I was like, oh my God, this is so beautiful. She's also very beautiful, but like the sweater, perfect. Next up is a lovely accessory. The Rose des Sables headband by Caroline Blais. And I was pretty nervous about modeling this because I don't think I'm a headband person. But this, people, this is the headband for the non-headband folks amongst us. It looks really good. I'm going to show you in a second. I just really quickly want to show you the lovely lace detail. And the bow, which hides the grafting seam. So you graft it together, you knit it in the round. You knit it flat, but then you graft it together in the round. I also really like that approach because it means that you can kind of try it on whether, you know, you want to have maybe one more pattern repeat of the lace before you start the decreases and the little bow. So I think that is a really clever design decision. This is how it looks like worn. I think it's so sweet. I definitely want to make myself one for winter. It's also knit in one of my all-time favorite yarns. So these are actually two yarns held together, both from El Robledal de la Santa, a wonderful Spanish farm that also makes their own yarns. David and Jackson, and the first yarn that is used in this design is their mohairino, which is a blend of their own mohair, so they have Angora goats, and local to them merino, and then it's held together with their silky mohair, which is a mohair silk blend, which adds this lovely little fluff to it. You can certainly just work it up in the mohairino. That's not a problem at all. Just need a yarn with a bit of stitch definition, I would recommend, because otherwise this lovely lace pattern doesn't show up as well. Okay, on to the next sweater. So I knew that Heirloom for me meant lots of really heavily cabled sweaters. I don't really know why, but so I was so excited when I got the submission for this one, which is Brackendale by Fiona Ellis. Let me show you the back. this is a cozy, comfy sweater combined with a workhorse sweater. So if you want something that accompanies you on your hiking adventures or, you know, like outdoors in the garden, this is great. But it can also just be paired really, really well over, you know, like high-waisted jeans tucked in a little bit, or a pair of leggings for like a brunch thing on Sunday or something, you know, something extra comfy. Fiona took this wonderful cable panel and echoed that, you know, like she put it on the center front and then echoed that on the left and right of the back, and also added in these cute little cables at the side of the sweater, at the side of the sleeve. She paired it with, which I think is such a wonderful choice, because often, like with Connected, there's nothing wrong with that, right? But like often we have cables paired with reverse stockinette or stockinette, and she paired them with this really intuitive textured stitch, which I think just ups the cozy factor enormously. So this is very, very comfy, very cozy. Yeah. This is knit in Hudson at West Coast Forge, so a worsted weight yarn. You will want to go for something that has good stitch definition. And this is how it looks like worn. So you can see, I just love the fit of it. I think it's such a great, you know, cozy piece, especially for the ones of us who maybe want to have something that hits a little bit longer, you know, like a lot of the things that also we publish and are being published at the moment are like quite cropped, and you could certainly just make this cropped, but if you want to have a sweater that hits a little longer, Brackendale is a really good option for that. Alrighty, lovelies. Next up is our second sock pattern from issue 10, the Crystal Socks by Isabella Krzyzubek. I need to show you pictures of how they're worn, because that's gonna showcase the pattern a lot better than this. So the crystal socks, they were inspired by a collection of crystal vases that runs in Isabella's family. And I love how she echoed those, you know, like really intricate cuts of crystal in this pattern that runs up the front of the foot. They're knit toe up with a really super clever heel construction. So you work the gusset on the sole of the foot, which I'm really keen on. I have never done this before, and so these are definitely on my knit list. I even have some yarn for them. Let me show you. Yeah, here's a picture of, there you can see how the gusset looks like when it's worn. I think they're super pretty, and I also love that the gusset is at the sole of the foot, because the pattern doesn't get distorted. So yeah, super clever construction. And I think really just lovely to knit. Maybe a bit more involved than the Dancing Sunlight socks, but certainly a really enjoyable knit. These are designed in Wool & Twine's Cardale sock, which is a 100% Cardale sock yarn that Eula has put on hiatus for now, because she's just come out with her own custom spun, all natural, so non-superwash, plastic-free sock yarn, which is called Ovis. And that is an excellent substitute for this yarn. And that's what I got. So I got a skein of Ovis to knit these in. So if you want to have the original yarn, that is sadly not available at the moment. But Ovis by the same dyer, Wool & Twine, is a really good substitute. Next up is the first pattern that we have yarn and kits for. It is the wonderful Old Love Sweater by Terry Mauer. And I just adore this. So I asked my mom to pick out something from this issue that I would make her as a gift. And she's contemplating, and this is one of her options. And if she doesn't go for it, I think I might make myself one of these. So this is a wonderful example of sort of taking inspiration from heirlooms and putting it into a new heirloom. This is inspired by the ski wear of the 70s and 80s, and is this really wonderful colorwork sweater that has dropped shoulders and this beautiful geometric colorwork at the chest, and then also that's echoed in the hem and then the sleeves. And I love this particularly as someone who has fit challenges with circular yoke sweaters. They just don't really fit very well on my upper body. Or I personally don't really like the way that they fit. I often find that they're a little too tight in the shoulders for when they fit very well here. So I was extra excited that we have some color work in this issue that is not done as a circular yoke, but as a drop shoulder sweater. And it looks gorgeous when it's being worn. Look at it. Such a great fit. I think it's such a great fit. And I can personally attest to the fact that the colorwork pattern is very, very, very enjoyable to knit, because I made swatches in the color combinations that we have kits in. So yeah. One of the things that this pattern does is that you are knitting a portion of the colorwork flat. If you don't want to do that, you can knit it in the round and then stick the armholes. That's not a problem at all. If you want to do that and you need help with it, send us a message. Very, very, very happy to help. So yeah, this is really exciting because I just love this sweater and I also love this yarn. So I was extra pleased when so many of the subscribers voted that we should have kits for these. If you don't know what I'm talking about, a couple months before we publish a new issue and decide on new yarns that we're gonna have with it for the designs in it, I always sent out a survey to our subscribers and our collective members to ask for their opinion on yarns and kits. And then the yarns that get the most votes, we purchase and we put together kits for the patterns. And so this one was with 35%, I think, the clear top spot. The yarn is a really wonderful GOTS certified non-superwash 100% wool yarn by BC Garn. It's Simila Mélange, a really lovely, just a really lovely, good woolly yarn, at a pretty inexpensive price point, which I think is really nice. You know how much I love the hand-dyed farm to needle yarns, but also they are expensive. There's a reason and they're totally worth it. But I also understand that they're maybe not in the budget for everyone all the time. And so I aim to have, a broad range of yarns in the shop. And this one is just a really, really, really good yarn for a really good price point. It's a sport weight yarn. And so the sweater is like really nice and woolly warm, but also not too heavy. And as I said, we have kits for the yarn, for the sweater. The first one is the original color combination, which are these three: rust, vanilla, and anthracite. And I even swatched the original one, but just because it was so much fun. So yeah. So that is, with this you get the original color combination. For our kits, you always get enough yarn for the size that you choose. So the way that the kit purchase works is you choose your size, and we put together all of the yarn. We always add buffer so that you can comfortably swatch, because I don't think there's anything worse than you purchasing a kit and then making a swatch and then realizing, oh God, I'm like a few meters short, or I need to unravel my swatch. And especially for color work, that's just really annoying. So yeah, so we add buffer for you. And the kit is also a little bit cheaper than if you were to purchase that yarn outright from us without the kit. The pattern is not included in the kit, just because we know that a lot of you already have pre-orders or subscriptions, but you can certainly just add the magazine to your kit order if you want to have the magazine as well and you don't have it yet, which I mean makes sense. If you want to knit the pattern, you need the magazine. So yeah, so these are the original colors. That's option number 1. Option number 2 is for the blue lovers. I adore this. Like, this is such a great color combination if you're more into the colder color range. The main color, so the color that in the original sample is the body, is this medium denim-y blue. The contrasting color for the yoke is this dark blue, and then the color work is worked in a light gray. So instead of dark color work, like here, you have a light color work. I love how this is the same pattern and how different it looks. Isn't that amazing? Knitting is just great. So yeah. So everyone who's more sort of on the colder, who more likes like the colder color spectrum, the blues might be your jam. And then the third one, and I have to say a big thank you to my friend Marina for this inspiration, because Marina suggested that we do a neutral version of the sweater as well, which I think looks absolutely fantastic. Look at this. Like, this is so great. And I know that, like lighter color neutrals, they are having a moment at the moment. Yeah. So I was really excited that this swatch turned out so well. So here you have a camel color as the main color. You're doing the color work in a stone gray, and then there's this slightly heathered natural cream as the contrasting color for the yoke. This is how they look like in the scheme. And this color combination is called neutrals. So yeah. So you have 3 different options to choose from. The original, the blues, and the neutrals. Yay! All of these for the Old Love Sweater by Terry Mauer. Great! Let's get on with it. The second neck accessory for issue 10 is a wonderful shawl by Bernadette Hassett called Ocean Breeze. It's a triangular shawl that combines 2 different yarns and 2 different patterns. One of them is this really beautiful lace, and then the other one is a lovely sort of stripy concoction. And this is amazing, because this is one of those shawls that just once other way around, you just want to get to the next portion of the pattern and the next portion of the pattern and the next portion of the pattern. And I love how it's not too sweet and delicate, because you always have those stripes in between, and it still has lace for those of us like me who love knitting lace, but like the all over lace shawls, they're just a little bit too frilly for me. So this is the perfect combination. I'm also really excited because we got to work with some beautiful Australian yarn for this. And we don't really get to work with Australian yarns that often. I always try to sort of kind of match designers and yarns that are sort of in the vicinity of one another. And Bernadette suggested Great Ocean wrote Woolen Mills yarns for this shawl, and I think that worked super, super well. So we have La Bella, which is a lovely woolen fingering weight, and Summer Fiesta, which is a linen blend. So the Summer Fiesta is the pink and the La Bella is the gray. And I think they work together perfectly. So yeah, this is Ocean Breeze. 2 more patterns, and the next one is the second one that we'll have kits for, and I'm really excited about them as well because they are from a fantastic yarn company / mill in the US, and I'm so delighted that we got to partner with them. The sweater that I'm talking about is Muscadine. Excuse the wrinkles. I haven't steam blocked them before the video. Ugh. So this is a top-down raglan sweater by Andrea Gaughan. And Andrea has created the most delicious cropped shape. And it's just the sweater with the most beautiful, thoughtful details. So you have a folded over neckline. You have really beautiful raglan lines. And you have this gorgeous pattern running down the side of the sleeve that perfectly transitions into the cuff. Tubular bind off on the cuffs and the hem, something that I still don't have the patience for. But if I were to make the sweater, I totally would because it's so worth it. Just look at it. It looks so good. Andrea worked with some really special yarn for this. Abundant Earth Fiber Renew. Abundant Earth Fiber is a yarn company at Mill run by Lydia and Ellen in the west of the US. And they are absolutely magnificent at what they do. Very, very careful in their sourcing and processing. They hand dye all of their dyed yarns. And so I was extra pleased when they said yes to us stocking their yarns for very special kits for Muscadine. We have 4 different colorways. We have the original sample colorway, which is called Ember, in the Renew base. One of the things that I particularly like about this is that this is 80% US merino, but then also 20% recycled fine wool. So there's recycled wool in there. There's like no artificial fibers, but I just love everything that reuses things. So yeah, very, very happy with this. So this is Ember. Then we have Gray, which is a really beautiful sweatshirt gray, undyed. We have Daffodil, a lovely green, yellowish green, and Estuary, this really beautiful deep blue, tealy blue. It's gorgeous. They're all gorgeous. These are the 4 colorways that we have. I went with these because I wanted colorways that would show off the pattern really well, but also be really wearable, and these felt like that to me. Yeah, those are the kits for Muscadine, the sweater from Andrea Gaughan in Abundant Earth Fiber. And then, I wanted to show you how Muscadine looks like worn. Give me a second. Like this. And then last but not least, we have a wonderful sweet hat called Moin, which is the way that you say hi in northern Germany, by Maren Odenthal, a German designer. And it's this really lovely, almost fisherman's cap in fisherman's rib with a lovely crown shaping and a really nice detail. Because one of the things that Maren tried to avoid was to make the brim, if you knit something in fisherman's rib all the way and then you knit the brim, then the brim is going to be sort of like very, very, very thick. And Maren wanted to avoid that and devised a really clever solution for it. So you're knitting only the outside of the brim in fisherman's rib and the inside is in stockinette. You have a little, reverse stockinette for when you're folding it so that it's, nice and neat. And you don't notice it at all, but it also just, doesn't show up. It's just great. I love it. This is the classic view. There's also a slouchy view for those of you who want like a little bit more slouch. And there are instructions on how to work it in 2 colors as well, which I love. So see, this is like same thing with the rib. Really beautiful. Very, very, very cute hat pattern. There are some really cute photos of this. I love this one. Yeah. And just so that you can see how it looks like worn with the hair open, not up, right? So yeah. Yeah. These are the samples and the 2 yarns that we have for issue 10. I hope you really enjoyed this sample overview video. I know that it is very different to see things in motion, and so I hope that this was, additional good information in addition to these pages. And if you don't have them already, maybe this has inspired you to either pre-order or order issue 10, or possibly even subscribe. Issue 10 will be officially released on September 5th, which is when our yarn kits will also go live. So if you liked the Old Love sweater kit or the Muscadine sweater kit, set your alarm for September 5th, because that's when they're going to go live and you can purchase them. Thank you so much for watching this. I hope that you really enjoyed it. If you have any questions about any of the samples or yarns that I've shown, please comment down below. Very, very happy to help. And also, I'm very curious, which one is your favorite? I just want to know. Leave me a comment down below. Tell me which your favorite project or pattern from this upcoming issue 10 is. And I'll see you again here really, really soon for our next podcast episode. Bye!